energy just hit $1.98 in a couple of states. It's way down. You have gasoline that hit $1.98 yesterday in a couple of states. Gasoline yesterday in 3 states hit $1.98 a gallon.
When you look at gas now at $3.18 a gallon. But since Inauguration Day, they're actually up. Gas prices since Election Day up 2.6%, since Inauguration Day up 2%. When are those gas prices going to start to come down?
Oh, I think you'll see it. You'll see it. There's a supply chain lag of oil going in and refined products. Also, we've seen some growth in gasoline demand. You know, as people drive more and travel more, that the demand pushes it up. But I think you'll see gasoline prices drift down in the next few months, and you might see oil drift the other way.
Interesting.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
But look at that. It appears that Fox News aren't completely buying the snake oil that Trump is selling. And if that isn't indicative of how bad things are going, then nothing is.
It is the worst first 100 days for a president in 70 years.
That's not true.
And it's objectively true, actually.
No, it's not objectively true.
And we can't interrupt when we're in... No, it's based on the data on approval rating. That's what it's based on. The approval ratings for all of the presidents, and his being the lowest.
Fox News just called out Trump on air. And instead of taking the L, Trump spiraled into denial and threats. Yeah, this isn't some fringe anchor or sneaky edit. This is Fox News, Trump's home turf, and they're fact-checking him in real time over gas prices, fake tattoos, and imaginary gang members. And who's at the center? You've got Fox anchors, Trump himself, and reporters like Jake Tapper and Terry Moran, all taking turns either exposing the nonsense or getting bulldozed by it. Trump claimed gas hit $1.98 under his watch. Fox checked. That never happened. They even contacted Gas Buddy, who literally tracks this stuff nationwide. Not one station below $2.19. Gas Buddy tracks tens of thousands of stations across the country. They found zero stations anywhere in the country, anywhere below $2.19. Let that sink in. Trump didn't misspeak. He lied, got caught. Then his team responded with another lie, claiming if reporters just left their cities, they'd find the truth. Turns out they were still wrong. This is gaslighting wrapped in patriotism, sold as leadership.
As the president holds meeting after meeting lying about the state of the economy before then, in the same breath, blaming Biden for the state of next quarter's economy. I mean, what are we doing?
And we're here tonight in the heartland of our nation to celebrate the most successful first 100 days of any administration in the history of our country, and that's according to many, many people. This is the best, they say, 100-day start of any president in history, and everyone is saying it. We've just gotten started. You haven't even seen anything yet. It's all just kicking in. And we took all of us together. We came in on January 20th. So this is Biden. And you could even say the next quarter is sort of Biden, because it doesn't just happen on a daily or an hourly basis. But we're turning it around. It's a big ship to turn around, and we're going to have the greatest country financially in the history of the world, I believe. I think we're going to do things and we had to do it. We reset the table. We were being ripped off by every single country, with just about without exception. I'd have to really think hard for who hasn't taken advantage. And I don't even blame those countries. I blame the person that was sitting right here where I am for allowing it to happen, where our country was ripped off on trade, hundreds of billions of dollars. And now we're doing better than we've done in a long time.
Something that polls continue to show people are just not buying anymore. They know who's to blame. Well, it appears there's only so much lies and disinformation that Fox can withstand. Who am I kidding? We know the limit doesn't exist. However, in a rare but telling moment, they decided that gas prices, that's where they draw the line. You know, deporting kids with cancer, they'll look the other way, but this, they had to focus on.
When you look at gas now at $3.18 a gallon. But since Inauguration Day, they're actually up. Gas prices since Election Day up 2.6%, since Inauguration Day up 2%. When are those gas prices going to start to come down?
So on the days the president was referring to there, last Wednesday and Thursday, there was not a single state that had its average gas price any lower than $2.70. So nowhere near $1.98. Now, people might say, well, the president didn't say average prices. He said prices. So maybe they were some gas stations in some states selling for $1.98. I asked the firm GasBuddy about this. GasBuddy tracks tens of thousands of stations across the country. They found zero stations anywhere in the country, anywhere below $2.19. So that's wrong too. Now, I'll add that I asked the White House about this. They not only couldn't corroborate the president's claim, but they introduced another lie in sending me a response about the previous lie. They said that if big city reporters actually went out to middle America.
But it doesn't stop there. Oh no. Trump sits down with ABC's Terry Moran, a softball interview, or so he thought, until Trump starts ranting about an MS-13 tattoo on a gang member's hand. Only problem? It was photoshopped, and he still argued it was real. He had MS-13 tattoo. We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else. Agree to disagree? About reality? That's where we're at. The guy picked his own interviewer and still ended up sounding like your uncle who gets his news from a meme Facebook page run out of Belarus. And then he has the nerve to say the stock market rising under Biden is thanks to Trump. But the stock market dropping under Trump is Biden's fault? This is MAGA logic. Take credit for the wins, dodge blame for the losses, and spin until truth doesn't matter.
They would see that gas prices there are at record lows. Well, I looked into that as well, Jake. Also not true. We're nowhere near record lows anywhere in this country.
Oh, you city slicker.
And this comes as Trump himself faced real-time fact-checking, first in his sit-down interview with ABC's Terry Moran, an interview that Trump expected to go smoothly, considering that he literally chose his own interviewer, because that's not authoritarian at all, only for it to go off the rails as he admitted to believing photoshopped images were real. 7 times, folks, 7 times.
He wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattoo.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshopped. So let me
That was Photoshopped. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
And you think it was Photoshop? Well,
here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Don't look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine, sir.
Terry,
I want to get to Ukraine.
No. He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because it's fake news.
In El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No,
but they're there
in your picture.
Terry.
Ukraine, sir.
He's got MS-13 on his knuckle. There were some things where, when I heard about him, I put him back, as you know. There are things that I'm considering right now putting back, but overall we've saved hundreds of billions of dollars.
Well, the original promise was $2 trillion, went to $1 trillion, now to $150 billion, and heading south.
You don't know what it's going to be, because we have things that are at a very high level that are being looked at right now. We also found tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse, as you know. We found a lot of fraud. There was a lot of fraud. Fraudulent things were taking place, and we ended that, and those people are going to be suffering because of it.
A legal note, fraud is a crime. There have been no referrals to the Justice Department on any of
these. Well, you don't know that, do you? How do you know that?
Have there been referrals to the, are there criminal referrals?
How would you know that there were no referrals? I think there were referrals.
They generally, all right, there's been no investigation from the Justice Department. How do you know that? I'm asking you, sir.
No, you're not asking me. You made a statement. You're not
now
asking
I'm asking you.
That was a statement that you made. There had been.
I'm asking you.
Have there been? Yes, there have been.
So there have been referrals for fraud from the workers.
Of course there have been. Take a look at some of these things that took place. Billions of dollars were given to people for no reason whatsoever.
And then there was this epic moment after his ring-kissing ceremony with his own cabinet members, where reporter Andrew Feinberg of The Independent pointed out the rife hypocrisy of this administration, highlighting how Trump claimed the stock market booming under Biden was because of him, but somehow the decline in the stock market under his reign is Biden's fault.
You frequently took credit for the stock market highs. You said it was a reflection of how well you were doing in the polls, and then after you were elected, you said the stock market highs were a reflection of how well the transition's going and the American people's confidence in your incoming administration. Now, stock market's not doing so well, and you're saying that's the Biden stock market, yet you are the president. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I'm not taking credit or discredit for the stock market. I'm just saying that we inherited a mess, both at the borders. You could look at every single one of the people here, and no matter who it is, they're doing better, and they are far superior to what took place for 4 years before us. When you look at prisoners being allowed to come into our country at will, just at will, people from mental institutions, gang members, drug dealers, when you look at that, what they've done to our country, and also having to do with finance, look at what happened with inflation. We had the worst inflation probably in the history of our country. They say 48 years, but I would say in the history of our country, it ate away at people. And even though you saw a stock market going up somewhat, because in my case, I had the biggest stock market increase, 88% in the last term, in my last term. But I don't view the stock market as the end all. It's an indicator. But what the stock market really tells you, and when you look at the stock market in this case, is it says how bad a situation we inherit.
Like, just honestly, look at these two posts, right? Side by side. And ask yourself truly, if you believe this, is it time for the padded room? Because I don't know what else to tell you. I'm out of words. Me, a Scot that loves the sound of his own voice. There is no bottom, it seems. We're just plummeting further each day with MAGA-only pressers and worshipping ceremonies instead of actual journalism, truth. And when Trump or his minions are dealt with a dose of that truth, they just flat out deny it.
He's sort of underwater, and particularly on the economy, tariffs, and inflation, he's well underwater. You've still got some work to do in that front. A lot of people think that he's spending too much time on tariffs and not enough time on the economy and lowering prices. What do you say?
Well, I don't want to make things awkward for you, John, but it is our opinion that Fox News needs to fire its pollster. And I won't surprise you with that. I don't think you're surprised that I'm saying that. But the Fox News pollster has always been wrong about President Trump. They were the ones that said all summer long that Kamala Harris was going to be the 47th president of the United States. So we don't acknowledge any of that polling.
We're in such troubling times, honestly. The need for more people speaking truth to power has never been more vital.
And here's where Fox, finally, puts a stake in the ground. They say his approval is underwater, his gas price lies don't hold, and even his fraud claims have no referrals or evidence. He responds, threatens the Fox News pollster, because of course he does. I don't think you're surprised that I'm saying that, but the Fox News pollster has always been wrong about President Trump. This is what happens when your ego can't handle facts. Instead of taking responsibility, he blames reporters, blames Biden, blames invisible global conspiracies. The cult-like spin is endless. Meanwhile, real Americans, they're dealing with actual inflation, actual lies, and a leader who's living in a fantasy land built on ego and denial. So yeah, Fox News finally called him out. And instead of correcting the lie, Trump doubled down with more lies and threats. There is no bottom, and somehow we're still digging.